A little video giving a tale of caution about newcomers coming on to the Courier Exchange. Hi everybody, you find me working on a Saturday. As I've said before, I'm picking up a bit of extra Saturday work because I'm off from not next week, the week after. So I've got another week of working on 4 days if you count the bank holiday. And then I'm off to Egypt and I'll be away for about 10 days. So I'm picking up a few extra jobs and I've done a couple today so far. There's not a lot of work out there, but what works out there I've bid a good price on and I've got them. But you know, it's a bit spat, it's a bit hit and miss, but I've done a job from Bradford to the outskirts of Bolton, some air conditioning equipment for a hospital, and I've done a job in the Manchester to Manchester, 2 miles in fact, and it was some tiles from a branch of a big tile company to a house address, and I quoted quite large on that because I knew there would be handball involved in that, and there was. And the whole thing probably took me 30 minutes from picking it up to dropping off at the house to helping to hump the things in. And tiles are heavy, aren't they? Flipping heck. Anyway, it's all done. So I'm going to see if I can pick up one more little job, nothing too far I don't think, and it'll make the day worth about £250 if I get another job. So worth it as long as I'm back before tea time. But what this video is about, it's a warning, and I know that other people have mentioned it, and I have said before, the Courier Exchange is not everything it's cut out to be. And if you're going to thinking of joining the Courier Exchange, then you should perhaps listen to this message I got on my channel. Now, this gentleman, I'm not going to say his name because he's asked me not to say his name, but he has given me permission to talk about this. So I'm going to read the message he sent to me. And, you know, it's a warning really, because you think you're going to come on the Courier Exchange, you think you're not. You're definitely not going to earn a lot of money. The Courier Exchange is only one of the things that you need to do. So I'm going to read you the message as it came to me, okay? Hi Dave, sadly after 13 days on the exchange, aside from some down days with the confusion about the exact size classification of my van, I didn't manage to get a single job from the exchange despite having spent many hours waiting for jobs to come up, dropping my prices up to 30% under the so-called average price per mile ad on the feature. I saw it fit to get my insurance money back while I could. The exchange did manage to sweet talk me into giving it another shot, but after another couple of days networking and bidding low, this time up to 40% below average and getting nowhere, I had to cut my subscription losses and call it a day, as I have people to provide for and bills to pay. Living 30 to 40 miles from the bulk of the jobs for my area, it became apparent that the CX isn't what it's sold to be, especially hard to compete with low bidders who live closer to the cities. As such, I would not recommend the CX to anyone, and especially not for new couriers unless they have many thousands of spare pounds to gamble with. Regardless, thanks for your videos and all the best for the future. So I read this and I had briefly messaged this gentleman before about suggesting to cut his prices down initially and things like that. And I said to him, you know, I'm really sorry this has happened to you. Do you mind if I mention this in a video? Because I think it's important. And he said this. I'll read out his reply. I would welcome it as long as you don't mention my name directly, as I insisted to the complaints/disputes department to remove my presence off from the platform. To get the full view of my experience, please check out my 1-star review on Trustpilot under the Courier Exchange review section. It will only take you a minute to read. I also believe that the positive reviews are potentially setups, as they are all too similar to one another. Be that as it may, my main complaint is that the sales pitch of the CX is somewhat dressed up, and that people need to be aware that it's hard to get going straight away as a new courier on the platform, which is not mentioned prior to joining. I only suggest awareness is created in order to protect those making a start who have families to support or mortgages to keep up. A good amount of money is needed in one's bank account to cover all the slow start above and beyond the high startup fees. Again, I wish you all the best, mate, and keep up the good work. I look forward to checking with the next video. So, you can see, yes, that chap doesn't live in a busy area for work. I'm lucky, I live in a busy area, but even now, it's getting more and more difficult to compete with what you think is a realistic quote to earn you a living. That's why it is very, very important that you find other sources of work outside the Courier Exchange. Now, I know that James from Freddie Fletcher's has mentioned this about the frequently asked questions on the Courier Exchange, and some of the suggested answers that they gave were a little bit questionable. And I know that Big Beardy has recently posted a video about the Courier Exchange. Is it worth it at the moment? Obviously, I'm not jumping on the wagon. This is simply because I got this message through, and it is important to convey to people. If you have no work whatsoever and no contacts in this industry, then realistically the Courier Exchange is probably the only option you have to start with. But it's important that you use it as a tool to network and to develop contacts. If you're not getting any work at all like that gentleman, then it was obviously been a waste of time for you. You need to bear this in mind. If you join, you are going to commit an awful lot of money to it. You're going to have to buy, lease or rent a van. You're going to have to pay insurance costs, easily in excess of £2,000. The cost of the Courier Exchange, around £1,600 a year, roughly, for the more basic packages. And you're not going to see any money if you do get work for at least 6 weeks. So you're going to have to support yourself for 6 weeks financially, having paid out all that other money before you see any returns coming in. Fuel alone is expensive. On average, when I was working on the Courier Exchange all the time, I'd easily get through £400 a week in fuel. I don't use anything like that at the moment because I've been doing that multi-drop work, and I've been lucky. It's paid me really well, and I tend to fill up once and then top up, and that's it. And I probably get through about 150 quid a week in fuel. But if I'm working on the Courier Exchange, going from one side of the country to another, my fuel usage is far higher. So you've got to bear that in mind as well. So take it as a warning. Be absolutely 100% sure this is what you want to do. You will be paying lots of money out. You'll be waiting quite a while for your money. Added to the fact there are spurious, dodgy shippers on here who make it their mission to delay paying you for as long as possible. I know a couple of friends of mine who are currently chasing outstanding invoices. Now, I have not got any outstanding invoices, and I have had nobody who has not paid me. But I have had to chase people for payment, which is ridiculous, really, when you consider how long you wait to get paid in the first place. For them to delay even longer is, quite frankly, disgusting. And I think, really, I don't know what the legal implications are, but naming and shaming some of these companies might be appropriate. And in fact, if you have got genuine complaints about shippers who habitually pay you late, put it in the comments and name them. Let's get the names of these firms out there and let's warn people about using them. Because when you're paying out all that money to start off with and times are tough, and you're bidding relatively low in the first place to try and secure the work, the last thing you need is some of these dodgy people paying you late, trying to do everything they can to avoid paying you. Don't get me wrong, the majority of shippers pay you on time and sometimes even early. But the bad eggs, they need naming and shaming and just don't work for these people anymore. So if you've got a genuine grief and you can, you know, something that you can prove because you don't want people suing you, obviously, put them in the comments on here and we'll name them, eh? Because it's ridiculous. I'm not, you know, there are plenty of good shippers. You know, you've got the likes of Speedy Freight and Cargo to Go. Yeah, we might all moan about how much we're getting paid, but that's the bidding system for you. But they do pay you on time. Well, certainly that's my experience anyway. But there are a few, and we know who they are, who will do everything they can to avoid paying you on time. The usual excuses: oh, I'm sorry, we've missed it on this month's payment run, they're going next month's payment run, we didn't receive your POD. All the usual rubbish and shite that they come up with. So, you know, that'd be good if they were gone, or maybe things would operate a bit better as well. So this is just a brief video. It's a warning. Think twice and think carefully if you are thinking of using the Courier Exchange to start up. It has its good points, but it's difficult, and it can be heartbreaking, just like it was for that fella. Not everything's as it's built up to be. Use it as a warning. If you do come on, best of luck to you. I hope everything works out all right. You all take care. Thank you for watching. Please like and please subscribe.